Hey, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome. I'm Terri Luongo, and I'm so glad that you're with us this evening. Tonight's topic is all about love, the month of February, and falling in love with your heart and protecting your heart health. So let me tell you a little bit about me first. Um, I'm a mom to 3 grown boys. I'm the grandmother to 5 little Luongos. I split my time between Plano, Texas, and the beautiful Oregon coast. For the past 31 years, I have been a health and wellness educator along with a mindset coach. And 31 years ago, I became an affiliate with a global health food company called Juice Plus, where we embrace a food first approach to health. I'm so proud to represent this company, and I'm so proud of the information that we're going to share tonight. And so this evening, I am sharing the broadcast with the amazing Amy Hopkins. I want to tell you a little bit about Amy. Amy is a mom of 4. She's a proud U.S. Air Force veteran. Thank you, Amy. She's a seasoned functional wellness provider with 25 years of experience in the medical field, including cardiology, gastroenterology, and functional medicine. Amy is dedicated to promoting holistic health and well-being, and she is able to use her expertise to help people achieve that end goal, which is amazing health. So tonight, because it is February, we're focusing on heart health. And what we're going to do tonight, my friends, is we're going to take a deep dive into how our environment and the choices that we make affect us and our heart health, because it's Heart Healthy Month. And at the end, we're going to give you some solutions, all right, for a simple change. They're going to impact you and your family, and how about generations to come? So before I bring Amy on board, I want to take you back in time. I want to talk to you a little bit about chronic disease here in the United States. And it really is time to make American families, healthy again. Because if we went back to 1950 to 1960, only 6% of Americans had a chronic disease. And the cost to the taxpayers here in the United States was absolutely $0. Fast forward just 40 years, 1990 to say about the year 2000, we've gone from 6% of Americans having chronic disease to 60%. 60% of Americans have chronic disease. The cost to the taxpayer, $4.3 trillion now. Now, these statistics have not been updated since 1990, say the year 2000. So I know we shouldn't make assumptions, but I believe that the statistics are probably even higher today. What we know now is that 1 in every 2 women and 1 in every 3 men will have cancer in their lifetime. Diabetes is 1 in 3 by the year 2050. Alzheimer's and dementia are at epidemic proportions. Autoimmune conditions are at epidemic proportions. And according to the CDC, my friends, 650,000 Americans will die from cardiovascular disease this year. That is, and they believe that we are experiencing a heart attack every 40 seconds. And what about our kids? Do you know that we're finding fatty deposits in the arteries of the average 3-year-old? And by the time our children are 12, here in the United States, they already have significant hardening of the arteries. And what the medical community tells us now is that 50 to 60% of our children already have one chronic disease. So tonight, our focus is, of course, heart health. All right, that's going to be our focus. So Amy, here we go. First question to you. We're focusing on heart health. Can you tell us some, common risk factors for the development of heart disease?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk about some shock and awe statistics there. So, I would venture to say by now most of us have heard of some of these common risk factors for heart disease: high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, vaping, diabetes, obesity, things like this, right? So let's consider this list. But I want you to consider or think about the things that lead to these problems: a diet low in fiber, a diet high in processed fats. Poor diet leads to insulin resistance. Keep that term. We'll talk about it later. Physical inactivity. These things lead to these problems. By the way, vaping is not any better for you than smoking. And skipping breakfast in the morning can actually increase your risk of heart disease. Um, Listen, y'all, I could go easily into detail about the pathophysiology that leads you all the way down the path of these things to heart disease. But the point is, you don't have to know what I know to make massive changes to improve your health. We have an option. Don't worry, it's coming up. Terri mentioned it a few times already. So let me be clear. All of these risk factors are building blocks for the disease, right? You don't get heart disease and then develop high blood pressure. You don't get heart disease and then develop high cholesterol. It's the other way around. You have a trigger, you develop a symptom, you develop the disease. And by the time you develop a symptom, by the way, it's considered late stage, Terri.
Okay, well, I think the next conversation is going to be about inflammation, Amy. I think science got it right. 20 years ago, the medical community said the foundation of all disease, and tonight we're focusing on heart health, is inflammation. So I believe that what I would want you to talk about is the inflammatory response and what happens if that response is unchecked, and how does that worsen the problem? What you and I both know is that disease processes inflammation, and I want to know, tell me more about this inflammatory response.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have to start with the inflammatory response. We really have to start one step before that with something called oxidative stress. So let me explain. The body is continually undergoing stress. It's how we work. Our cells, they continually undergo metabolism, right? You put the good in, you metabolize, you put the bad out. You breathe the good in, you expel the bad out. This is just what our body does. And by the way, when our cells are metabolizing, they're doing what the DNA inside the cell tells it to do, which, by the way, is directly impacted by what we eat. It's a term called epigenetics, and I wish we had time to discuss it tonight, but we don't. So anyways, we are producing waste. We have 30 trillion cells at any one time on our whole body. Can you imagine how much like oxidative stress is just floating around? And you've heard the term free radicals, right? So how do we get rid of oxidation? We get rid of oxidation with antioxidants, and the only one true source of antioxidants, and it's not vitamins, it's food, it's fruits, vegetables, berries. And so, but the good thing is our bodies are created in such a way that they're supposed to be broken to be built back up, right? So everything we do stresses the body, good or bad. We have acute inflammation, like you break a bone, you do a hard exercise. This triggers healing mediators to fix the bone, to build the muscle back. Sometimes inflammation gets turned on. It gets turned on by our fat cells because fat in the body is actually pathogenic. And when it goes unchecked, it triggers chronic low-grade inflammation. And that is what's directly linked to multiple disease states, especially in women because of our estrogen. And I wish I could talk about that too tonight, but I can't. So we got to stay focused about the heart. But did you know Juice Plus has 14 studies showing how it directly impacts oxidative stress by lowering it? Like that's just incredible to me. So let me tell you, oxidative stress, unchecked oxidative stress, leads to inflammation and leads to a term we call insulin resistance. Okay. It's now considered to be one of the main causes of all cardio, metabolic, and neurologic disease. We're talking atherosclerotic heart disease. That means plaque buildup in your arteries. Cancer, stroke, dementia, Alzheimer's, autoimmune disorders, especially in women, again, because of our extra estrogen. Just like Terri mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, Juice Plus has over 10 studies that directly impact our metabolic health, which is just incredible. Terri, we're in insulin resistance now. You're the expert on this. How does this, what impacts us? All these other elements in our environment. Tell us how's the impact on this? Bring us your knowledge.
Okay, well, I'm going to just pause that for a second, because when you talk about, first of all, very few people are talking about insulin resistance. All right, it's not a term that a lot of people are talking about, and you kind of dropped a seed there, and you talked about women and hormones and insulin resistance. And I think it was like 15 or 18 years ago, I went to a women's conference in New York City, and a Dr. Pike from Maine, she was a gynecologist, ran a huge clinic up in Maine, and she said, I'll never forget it, she said, women who have hot flashes and night sweats are insulin resistant. And I was like, oh my goodness. And here you are again, the connection to oxidation, inflammation, insulin resistance. So let's talk about the things that we experience day in and day out, and the choices that we make that affect this inflammatory response. All right, let's talk about the foods that we eat. The biggest producers of food that we eat that cause inflammation are what I call the 3 Ps. Foods that are in aisles 4, 5, 6, and 7 of your grocery store. They're prepackaged preservatives. Guys, they have zero nutrition. They're absolutely the sugar load in these products. Okay, the additives, the chemicals. These are fake food, highly processed. You can talk, and you'll find the seed oils that we know so much about. And Amy, I know that we're scheduled to do something about seed oils, I think next month or the following month. All right, but these foods, but here, guys, here's the deal. 75 to 80% of all the food that we eat here in America is processed fake food, 75 to 80%. So it's no wonder, based on what Amy said now, that we start to understand why the inflammatory load is so high and why we are so sick. We are the wealthiest nation in the world and we have the worst health. This is not a new message. This has been a message in the Juice Plus community for 30 years. All right. Okay, so then there's the processed foods. I mean, let's just take sugar for a second. You know, the average adult is eating, last I saw, about 135 pounds of sugar per year. The average child eats over 5 pounds of sugar per week. And if you went back 100 years ago, the average American ate about 5 pounds of sugar yearly. Our cells, our DNA does not know how to comply or adapt to this load of fake processed food. So then again, you know, dairy, you know, a little cheese, no problem. Guys, we're not meant to consume tons of dairy. And then we have to look at things like gluten. There's many people out there now that are gluten intolerant. Medications. There's a time and a place for medications, but every time you take a med for something, you are increasing the inflammatory response in your body. And how about the environment? Air pollution, water pollution. Okay, we are being polluted by the environment. And then there's heavy metals, and then we did last month, Amy and I did a program on stress. Psychological stress will increase the inflammatory response in your body. So those are just some of the things, Amy. So basically, I said this 30 years ago, and it's not changed. Here in the United States, we're overfed, we're undernourished, and up until recently, most Americans were completely unaware. Times are changing, and I'm so glad that we're pioneering this movement. Okay, so based on what I just shared, Amy, specifically what happens to our cardiovascular system when we are exposed to these things? Where in the body does this happen, and what implications is there to heart health?
Yeah. So I want to start here. I'm going to get to this in 2 sentences. I want to say sometimes the first symptom of heart disease is a heart attack. And 40% of the people who have their first heart attack do not survive. And if you're lucky enough to survive your first heart attack, what happens? You get a whole slew of medicines. Now look, the problem with medicines is they do things to the body, where food does things for the body. And so let me dive in. We're going to talk about our arteries, okay? The endothelial elasticity of your arteries, okay? The ability of our arteries to expand and contract based on when your heart beats, right? That's how you can feel your pulse around your body, right? So do you know what we need to maintain the endothelial elasticity of our arteries? It's simple. Green vegetables, specifically greens. So what happens when you eat greens is your body is able to make a substance called nitrous oxide. This is so cool. Nitrous oxide. If we have any race car drivers in here, they know all about nitrous oxide, okay? It's a little bit different than that compound, but still essentially important to winning the race in our body, right? So this directly impacts whether or not you're going to develop high blood pressure. If you are lacking in healthy level of green vegetable intake, you don't produce nitrous oxide. And then do you remember the terms Terry said earlier in the presentation? Hardening of the arteries. Yeah, we got to be able to expand and contract. And when your arteries are getting hard, it's not because you're aging. It's because you're not eating what you need to build what your body needs. Just wait. Things get better because you know what else greens do? They keep plaque from sticking to the side of your arteries so you don't get plaque buildup in the body. Okay, there's studies on Juice Plus. Just 8 weeks after taking Juice Plus, significant. When we use that term in research, when we use the term significant, that means there are significant study findings. This is big, it's not just a random word we pick. Significant results showing a severe decrease in coronary artery disease development, like high blood pressure, like cholesterol, like obesity. Let me tell you why. Because Juice Plus downregulates lipogenesis. That means your body builds lean muscle instead of fat. Juice Plus increases things like insulin sensitivity. So that means your insulin key is sharper, and that it helps you unlock the cell to put the glucose in for energy. It's a good thing, and it's not dull like insulin resistance, right? And it also helps produce good anti-inflammatory modulators, which again, this directly impacts autoimmune development, okay? Again, with the women and estrogen, this is a big area where it impacts. So look, Juice Plus has over 48 studies that confirm, that validate, that show exactly how it delivers its product all the way down to the cellular and the DNA level. In fact, there's no health problem that can't be helped by a whole food approach, okay? I heard someone say at one of our conferences that food is either a weapon of mass destruction or mass vitality. And I resonate with that so much. Our health and wellness is just as infectious as disease. And so there is hope, y'all, there is hope. And I'm going to share a slide and Terry's going to talk to us about this.
All right, guys. Thank you, Amy. Oh, it's so profound. And you make it, and I understand what the message that you're delivering. Okay, so 31 years ago, when I was challenged with just several autoimmune conditions, fibromyalgia, very rare Crohn's disease, I was introduced to Juice Plus, concentrated fruits, vegetables, and berries in capsule form. And there was something about the message that was so compelling that I sat up, I paid attention, and I said yes to this food first approach to my autoimmune conditions. Little did I know that over time, the symptoms that I had would start to disappear and that I would achieve a level of vibrant, vital health. And so what is Juice Plus, my friends? It's food in a capsule. Don't let the capsule fool you. Every single day when you take your Juice Plus, you're getting pounds and pounds and pounds of concentrated fruits, vegetables. Thank you for the education on green, Amy. Fruits, vegetables, and berries that work at the cellular level. Juice Plus feeds the cells, which becomes tissues, and then it feeds the organs, and then those organs become systems, And we've been talking to you now for the past 20 minutes about the cardiovascular system. And now you understand why the research that Amy talked about, all right, is so profound when you take Juice Plus, the benefits to heart health, but to every single system. The immune system, the endocrine system, the reproductive system are all fed and nourished and protected when you take Juice Plus. It is so powerful. And then, of course, we have our Healthy Starts for Families program, where if a mom, a dad, or a grandparent starts consuming these capsules, they can sponsor a child to receive free product up until they are 25 years old. This company has given away over $500 million of free product to children. When I tell you that this has been our message and our platform for 30 years, you now understand why the person that invited you to this call is so proud that we represent a company such as this. And Amy talked about the research, guys. I think one of my favorite pieces of research is that Juice Plus is bioavailable. It gets to the cells. It does the wonderful things. And you know, Mark Hyman said something once, and I wrote it down. It said, "Food is not just calories; it's information." And you were addressing this. Food talks to our DNA and tells it what to do. And Juice Plus is food. It is a food first approach to health. And I'm going to end my segment, Amy, by just leaving us with a quote from a book that I read 31 years ago. It was the precursor to when Juice Plus walked through my front door. And in that book, Stop Aging Now, is when the term was put on my heart that disease is aging, aging is disease. And we are all aging way too fast in the United States. It's not this way in countries around the world. And our children are aging way, way, way too quickly. And Jean Carper said in this book 31 years ago, she said, most disease is a fruit, vegetable, plant deficiency. So Amy, thank you for being on the call with us. Do you have any final words that you want to say to the audience?
I do. I want to say we are what we eat, drink, think, and breathe. Every bite we take either fights disease or feeds disease. And it's time to stop outsourcing our health to the disease management system. Our health is our responsibility. We are our own PCP. And so let's take your healthy back. And this is where you can start with that.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks, everybody, for spending a half hour with us. We appreciate each and every one of you. And we love you. Love your hearts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.